For decades, politicians passed so-called tough-on-crime laws and spent billions on the prison boom. Those politicians spend $80 billion a year in the name of public safety and protecting victims of crime. Protecting the victims of crime. The truth is that most crime survivors are not protected or helped. While more Americans are behind bars than ever before, few victims experience a system that delivers justice, supports their recovery, or stops the cycle of crime. The rhetoric just doesn't match the reality. That is why more and more crime victims want a new approach. Survivors want rehabilitation more than extreme punishment. Investments in prevention, trauma recovery, schools, job training, and healing more than wasteful prison spending. Survivors are speaking out. It's time for elected officials to listen. Here's the truth about crime. Crime impacts people from all walks of life. But repeat crime is also concentrated, and its impact is unequal. Those that feel the brunt of the violence and trauma are young, low income, people of color, people with disabilities, and are those of us living in urban areas. Those of us that have experienced violent crime are 4 times more likely to be repeat victims. So what does the justice system do when crime occurs? For most victims, not enough. Did you know that only 38% of crimes actually get reported to the police? And fewer than half of these lead to an arrest. And of violent crimes reported, only half get solved. Too often, victims don't report crime because they fear for their safety or don't trust the system. All of that money spent to increase incarceration, yet very few victims feel safe. And too often, the cycle of crime continues. There's something terribly wrong when those who are the most harmed are the least helped. For too long, our safety priorities have been prisons over schools, prison over mental health, prisons over jobs, prisons over trauma recovery services for victims. To be sure, crime survivors want accountability for people that commit crimes, but survivors also want to stop the cycle of crime and think tough prisons can make matters worse, not better. Instead, the majority of crime victims want more rehabilitation and less punishment, shorter prison sentences, and more spending on prevention. Options for accountability beyond prison, such as mental health treatment, drug treatment, community service, or community supervision. Survivors are joining together with advocates, innovative law enforcement leaders, bipartisan political leaders, and community groups to replace the billions wasted on bloated prisons with new solutions to safety and a balanced approach to public safety that prevents crime and supports survivors. Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice is the largest network of crime survivors in the country. Together, we are sharing our stories and healing through action. Now is the time to put crime survivor voices at the center of criminal justice policy. Join us today and find out how you can help advance new safety priorities in your neighborhood.